My name is Jason Goldstein, and I graduated from the University of Texas at Austin with a PhD in the history of art and architecture. And I am currently a upper school English teacher at the Hockaday School in Dallas, Texas. And my experience from graduate school led me directly to my current job as an upper school English teacher at Hockaday School. And really and truly, for as long as I can remember, my goal was to teach at an independent school. What I enjoyed most about teaching at University of Texas at Austin was the relationships that I was able to create with my students. But I always longed to participate in a longer arc of my students' development and growth. And one of the things that I found often was that the many wonderful students that I encountered at UT and developed a relationship with over the course of the semester, regrettably, for a few of them, I have been able to maintain contact with, but for the most part, by and large, I never see or hear from those students again. And one of the most rewarding aspects of working at an independent school, this being my third year now, is that I'm actually teaching students that I taught as freshmen now as juniors, and really seeing that growth and development in the student to get involved as well with other aspects of my students' growth, whether it's through my supervision of student council or extracurricular activities, or serving as an advisor for the same group of girls for the last 3 years, and helping them with not only their academic needs but any sort of personal challenges and that they face, has been particularly rewarding. So the best piece of career advice that I received was from my dissertation advisor, and it is really a very simple piece of advice, but to be true to oneself and to one's interests. In establishing a career in academics, whether it's in higher education or whether it's at an independent school, I think displaying genuine passion and interest in one's subject, in what one studies, and in what one pursues is immediately palpable to students. Students feel, and that's a comment that I often get from my students is, it's very important to me that my teacher is passionate about his or her subject, not just knowledgeable, but really cares. And I think that true passion comes from pursuing interests that within one's career and within one's research that you really care about and are interested in, not that you think it are the most marketable kinds of interests or pursuits. And that happened for me in terms of my scholarship, which allowed me to ultimately teach a diversity of interdisciplinary courses within the context or the discipline of English, or the field of English. Because I'm interested in the intersection between painting and literature, the idea of the possibility of making reading or transforming reading into an active scene, and the visual properties of language. And I was able to do that because of the scholars that I worked with whom were extremely supportive of that interest. They were also very supportive of the fact that I made it abundantly clear that my aspirations were to teach at an independent school. A couple of the colleagues with whom I worked with um, had children who went to independent schools in Austin, and they made arrangements for me to speak with teachers and actually have a teaching teaching apprenticeship at a local independent school, which gave me a good deal of experience from which I could draw from in applying to schools and in cultivating my own career. A couple of things. First and foremost, I think it is extremely critical that you convey a passion and a love for working with children and working with students in general. And one does this, I think, for my sake, I think some of it came from the experiences that I was able to discuss from volunteering and doing this teaching apprenticeship in a local independent school, but also in drawing from some of the examples that I had as an instructor at the University of Texas and as a teaching assistant, talking about experiences that I had in advising students on their work in office hours, or even helping a student plan his or her schedule, or discussing diversity of challenges that my students faced at the University of Texas, and showing that I was really an educator who valued relational teaching. Secondly, I think it's important that one conveys a degree of flexibility, because in an independent school you wear multiple hats, and so the fact that I am have competencies both in the field of art history, but in the field of 19th century French literature and American literature, uh, helped me um, communicate or help me convince a hiring committee that I was able to teach in a variety of disciplines, and that I was willing to do so. And I think also that I was willing to participate and supervise a variety of activities beyond the classroom. So I think that flexibility, not being so tied or tethered to a particular idea of what it is one is going to teach, or what particular classes one is going to teach, or grade levels, but being open and receptive to teaching at a diversity of levels and in a diversity of fields is something I think that can be quite appealing to an independent school. I think that, at least in the case of the humanities, it's important to communicate one's capacity as a writer and as a teacher of writing. And so I actually drew from my dissertations. I did not, obviously, I would not submit my entire almost 300-page dissertation to an independent school, but I selected excerpts that I thought would show, for instance, my ability to closely read passages of literature and art, for instance. And then I talked about in my teaching statement how I had taught my students to master those same skills.